It's a family and people issue and an economic driver for good health reasons. And also the veterans issues, which are not all federal issues. They are some also related at state level for veterans. Thank you.
The three issues that I will be moving forward in, first and foremost, are working with a DHHS budget in mental health issues. We've shortchanged our mental health industry quite a bit since it deinstitutionalized back in the early 2000s. The second thing is moving forward with our Raise the Age bill for 16 and 17-year-olds. North Carolina and New York are the only two states who put 16 and 17-year-olds into the adult criminal justice system. And the bill I have sponsored and we've gotten through the House, and I will sponsor again, will be to put them into the juvenile justice system for misdemeanors only. And also we're taking another look at some reorganization of certificate of need for hospitals.
All right, we're going to go back to the Senate side. This is going to be, I don't know what they call it on Jeopardy, but kind of a wild card question. You get your choice. You want to talk about voting issues or DHS issues?
I'll take the DHHS.
For $100?
Alex.
Thank you.
When my students ask...
Well, I'm going to ask the question first. Okay.
She knows. She knows.
I think she wrote this. You did sign this. Yeah. Okay. Can you please ask me this question, Mark? I will be nice to Morrisville in the future. What do you think about the Department of Health and Human Services handling the food stamps program and Medicare program rollouts since 2013?
Deplorable. Absolutely deplorable. There were people that called my office that weren't getting their food stamps. There were people who had medical equipment businesses that were putting things on their credit cards, trying to make ends meet, trying to be able to stay open because they had fronted thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment that they weren't being paid for. We need to do better. We have to do better. And one of the things that I've done, I worked on the Health and Human Services Appropriation Committee, and that's one of the things that we worked really hard to improve and to get in line, because we cannot treat our people that way. It's just not right.
I'll take the right to vote.
The voting
200, yes.
Okay, all right. Do you support or oppose the elimination of one-stop early voting, voter registration, which the General Assembly passed this year?
I do not oppose it. I think that really what we've done, at least what the General Assembly has done in this last session, was really streamline the voting process. They've taken what was a very cumbersome and complicated a way for people to be voting early, and they've made it very simple. The hours have been arranged in a way that people can actually get off of work and still go be able to vote. I think that's efficient. I think more than anything, we need efficiency when it comes to the voting process. So I think that eliminating them is a good idea, and I support it.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, let's, who's ready over here? Marilyn? Okay. Let's go ahead and ask a question about, has to do with jobs and investment. While the Triangle has had great successes in growing jobs and investment, some rural areas have not. As part of the Triangle delegation, what are your thoughts on improving economic development in the rural areas without compromising your support for the metro areas?
That's a difficult question in the sense of when you talk about companies that want to move to the area and bring people with them. A lot of the people that come with a company want the benefits of a metro area. However, if a company is moving into a rural area, what we have to give them are educated workers. And that, I think, would be the best way in terms of drawing businesses to the rural areas, is to create there the educated workforce And the best way to do that is through our community colleges. And a number of our rural areas have some phenomenal colleges, and that would be a draw into the rural area for a business that would be coming to settle with the people that are already there, it's home for them.
Ms. Rodwell?
Same question?
Yep.
Good, thank you. The first thing that is necessary in rural counties, besides jobs, to get the jobs there, is the road infrastructure and the water and sewer availability. They have to have all of that coming together in a meaningful way so that the companies, small and large, will look and be able to set up in a given community and start being prosperous for the people who live there.
Next up, we're going to hear from the House 41 folks. This question, as I kind of go through this fishbowl, this one keeps on coming up over and over, and I know it was somewhat addressed earlier, but I wanted to put it back out there for the 41 folks. We've implemented a lot of changes here in North Carolina with the voting regulations and hours and days and things like that. Do you support or oppose these changes, and why?
Well, I think the most common sense thing we've done in the General Assembly is to request that voters show an ID when they go to vote. I think that's one of the most common sense things we can do, and I was proud to be a primary sponsor of that bill in the House. And I'm a pharmacist. When you come to the pharmacy and you need cold medicine, you've got to show me an ID. If you want to pick up a controlled substance for a family member, you have to show me an ID. And I would argue that the right to vote is every bit as important as cold medicine. And so I think we've implemented it over a phased-in period. You're going to be asked for an ID. If you don't have one, we're going to help you get one. Try to participate in a modern society without an ID. And we're trying to help folks out and make sure that we have integrity in the voting system. And I fully support a voter ID law.
Just waiting for the
That's okay.
I think the voter ID law is misnamed because it's not just about ID. I go to my bank, I've been banking there 20 years, I have to show my driver's license, I have no problem with that. But when you take away voting sites, when you don't allow college students to use their college ID, when you do things that actually get in the way of people participating in democracy with a small d in voting, I think that's problematic. And there was never a price tag placed on all the costs that would be associated with these changes. And whenever I like to see something like that big pass, I want to see how much it's going to cost.
We're moving back to the Senate side here.
Sure.
North Carolina's university system has had a great track record. Go UNC. Do you attribute this to, or what do you attribute this to, and how do you recommend maintaining its high level of performance?
Well, I think one of the things that's been really beneficial in the last session was the tremendous amount of focus that was brought to the education issue. And I think as we continue to move forward, as we continue to do more for teachers and pay more attention to their needs, education is going to improve everywhere, UNC systems and beyond. And so I think as long as we all work together, as long as we're thinking about the future, making sure that the kids are the focus, as long as we can strive toward that goal of the best education in the nation, we're going to get there. But we've got to come together to do it. There has to be unity.
Thank you. Please.
There are a number of reasons that the University of North Carolina system, not just Chapel Hill where I work, but the whole system is the best in the world. We've invested in it, and for many years we've invested in it. But we also have to make sure that those funds, those dollars are spent properly. We are stewards for that money, and they have to be invested properly in courses that will get people ready for real life and get ready, prepare them for leadership responsibility later on. I think one of the other things that makes it so special is that it's located all over this state. We have a University of North Carolina in the eastern part of the state, in the northern part. We have Appalachian State, which is part of the University of North Carolina, Western Carolina, which is UNC Charlotte in our urban area, Chapel Hill, and of course, NC State. Those are the factors.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to have one final question for this. This is going to go out to all four of the House candidates right now. They ask the same question. and then we're going to hear the 1-minute wrap-up. Okay. This is hot off the press. I don't know, we got to teach handwriting in North Carolina. Can you all please do that? Please? Somebody? Who? My goodness. Okay. Thank you. It's Carlotta.
Wait, actually, there's a comment from the Senate side.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
You were from where, Georgia? Is that, okay, well, you're forgiven. Okay, House folks, what do you attribute the growth of 200,000 jobs in the past few years in North Carolina to? That wasn't you. Start with Margaret.
Well, I think our good reputation, up until this point at least, has been widely promoted and through global environments as well. So people know that North Carolina has traditionally been the good education state, even though it might be slipping at this point, and has all the recreation areas, et cetera, which makes our communities and our state the wonderful place that it is. So I think it's not unusual to find that there are companies who want to come here and employ. We do have to remember, though, that ongoing education is what gives the staff, hireable staff, to these employees when they come here and to sustain them.
Thank you. Marilyn?
Companies can only hire somebody when they make money, and they only make money when they get to keep it. And lowering the taxes has helped in North Carolina tremendously from that standpoint. And the fact that we have the ocean, the mountains, and everything in between, the education, which in the 4 years that we've been in power hasn't really gone in a handbasket that bad, is beside the point. We have a lot to build on, and we've set a direction that is encouraging to business that they can come to North Carolina, produce goods and services at a profit, and we will make sure they can do it with safe and environmentally sound rules and regulations to help them.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Great.
Yeah, we can go now.
Well, speaking as a member of the Carytown Council who has voted on many economic incentives, both for local companies expanding and new companies, I will tell you that to this point, it has been an educated workforce, good public schools, and high quality of life. And it is up to us, both local officials and state officials, to make sure that we do everything we can to make those three factors still the most important choices for companies who want to come to North Carolina.
The reason why North Carolina's economy is growing is because of the reform-minded legislature that you have that's leading our state. We've passed tort reform, we've passed regulatory reform, and we've passed tax reform that clearly indicates to the business community that we're open for business and we want you to come here and create jobs. That's why you're seeing 200,000 jobs created over the past 4 years, faster than any of our neighboring states. And last year we led the country in job creation. That's not by accident, it's by design. We've placed an open for business sign on the state of North Carolina, and I want to continue that work as chair of the Commerce Committee.
Thank you. Would you guys like to answer that question
Yeah, I'd love
too?
to.
I mean, while we're on this roll,
Sure.
and then we're going to get into the 1-minute wrap-up. Okay, go ahead.
Why has our economy done so well in the past couple years? In a word, Republicans. Yeah, and I'll give you 3 great Republicans right here. We have Avila, we have Murray, and we have Behringer. Let's make sure that we continue to keep this comeback going.
Two and a half years ago or 2 years ago when I was running, I made the comment over and over that we were overtaxed, overspent, and overregulated for way too long. And that was the truth until there was a new sheriff in town. And we've lowered taxes. We still continue to regulate, but we do so in a cost-beneficial manner. And we also, as I don't think we say it any better than what Representative Murray said, we are open for business. We're going to set this economy on fire. We're already doing it. We're all part of that. There's not much that can't be corrected when you've got a mama and a daddy that are working in the family, and everybody's fed and everybody's going to school and everybody's happy. And that's what we're working for.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start with Representative Murray here on your 1 minute to tell us why we should vote for you.
Thanks, Mark. over the past 4 years, serving in the North Carolina House has been one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. I enjoyed my time on the town council, but dealing with statewide issues is really something that I think I've been cut out for based on my training and experience as a pharmacist and an attorney. And I've been able to bring people together. I'm the only candidate in this race that's endorsed by the Sierra Club and the Chamber of Commerce. I'm the only candidate in this race that's endorsed by Realtors Association, Voices for Animal Welfare, the Police Benevolent Association. This is an interesting cross-section of individuals and groups that have decided to support my candidacy because I'm willing to bring folks together in a bipartisan way. I've gotten bills signed by Governor Perdue. I've gotten bills signed by Governor McCrory. And I'm more than willing to work with anybody who wants to move our state forward to make sure that my 3 priorities have a future. Ella, Gretchen, and Henry. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your support.
Thank you.
When I moved to North Carolina 38 years ago, I was proud to live in an A&D state. Strong public education and a thriving business environment, clean drinking water and land development, fiscal responsibility and health care for children, elders, and the disabled. But over the last 4 years, I've watched in horror as North Carolina has devolved into an OR state. Tax reform or increased teacher salaries, new industries or clean drinking water, Medicaid reform or health care for our vulnerable citizens. I don't believe we have to choose between these priorities any more in 2014 than we did in 1976. If we set reasonable goals and we fund what we say are our priorities, I believe we can be an and state again. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your support for the North Carolina House. Thank you.
Ms. Broadwell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm running because I was asked to by my party, and that started the wheels going. And I thought, should I do this? Can I do this? And I thought, of course, I've done it at the local level. People are people everywhere. Whether I know you or whether I don't know you, you have basically the same needs across the board. I proved it in Morrisville that I can be a good leader. I brought good programs. I brought good services. I've even put my own money into the benefit of the citizens that live here in Morrisville. I've come from finding Morrisville as less than 300 people to now over 23,000 in the same square footage, but we're all prosperous, pretty much all hopeful of a brighter tomorrow. I've done it here. I can do it in this house, and I think now is the time for me to serve there. I have accepted the challenge, and I'm asking you now for you to accept the challenge. Help me get there by your vote. Don't be a bystander, be a participant. Thank you.
Good schools, safe neighborhoods, quality jobs, accessible, affordable health care. If you're going to vote for a candidate who wants these things, then you're going to have to vote for every one of us, because we all want the same results. The decision you have to make when you go to vote is, how do you want to get there? How will you achieve it? Will it be through a methodology that allows each individual or each business the greatest degree of freedom in making choices about how they make their money and how they spend their money? That's your decision, not what you want, but how you get it. Yeah. I ask for your vote in November.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The last 2.5 years have been quite a journey for me, and it's only the beginning. I've just got my feet under me. I've worked across the aisles. I'm about good public policy. I'm not about politics. I'm about finding good solutions for the problems that we all share here together. And so I ask humbly for your vote, your support. I listen. My constituents call me. When I'm involved with a bill, I listen to all the stakeholders, and I try to factor in, because I'll just tell you, I do have some expertise in certain things, but boy, I don't know everything about everything. I count on over 700 bills were filed in the Senate, over 1,200 in the House. There's no human way possible that any one of us could even read through all that, much less actually analyze it. I count on you. I count on my citizens, my constituents, the people that I serve, to help me make those decisions. And I also ask for your help to get me reelected. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Well,
Well, I want to say thanks again to the Chamber, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to be here tonight. It's great to spend time with you. It's great spending time with people out in the lobby and hearing their thoughts and talking with them. The reason why I'm running is because we need new leadership in District 16, and that's the bottom line. I wouldn't take a year out of my life and all this time away from my 2-year-old daughter if I didn't really believe that it was necessary. So I will never send in a letter in my stead to a forum. I'm here. I'm here to talk to you. And I will be accessible when I'm elected. I'm also a business owner. I understand what it means to make that payroll. I understand that your money is important, and I understand that your time is important. So more than ever, I need your support now. Go to nc2014.com, nc2014.com. Hit the donate button and spread the word about Molotov Mitchell, because the liberation of District 16 is underway.
Thank you. Well, let's have a final round of applause for all the Senate and state representatives. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We appreciate all your answers. I didn't hear anyone passing the buck, which was really good. I've seen some of that on TV recently, and I'm glad that you guys stood up and answered the questions that were asked, even the tough ones. So thank you very much. We're going to have a 5-minute recess. Is that correct?
Yes, to change out the candidates. So if anybody needs to grab a hot wing or a drink or go to the restrooms.
Okay, so we got about a 5-minute break. We'll see you back here in 5 minutes.